Welcome to the second All Things 80s Christmas party. And before we go any further, I want to apologize for my performance last week. I was absolutely hammered and I made a real disgrace of myself. And I tried to watch back the live stream the following day. I got through 30 seconds, I had to turn it off. I am really ashamed of myself, and that will not happen again. And in fact, today I'm on the heavy stuff. I'm having some iron brew all the way from Scotland, purchased here in Thailand. So, again, I apologize. And I must say as well, the chances are I may repeat myself tonight because I honestly don't really remember what I said last week. So, some of the things I will say you may have heard last week. And if that's the case, please just bear with me if you will. Now, a couple of things to get out of the way. As with last week, I will actually offer the opportunity, if you so wish, to send a generous super chat. And if you do, I have some fun videos for you to watch. So we have a selection of videos. So you can pick one, which is Hasbro for the win, two, which is your collection's fake, three, Too Poor for Star Wars, four, Repro Has the Power, and five, Star Wars Every Day. So those are the videos I have. I'll maybe do more for next week, who knows? But I'll quickly greet the chat before bringing in the guests we have, because I can already see them down here. You can't see it, I can, but we have some stellar guests once again. So the first comment comes from Just Common Sense, says hello. Well, hello to you. And he says something else. Long time no speak, Dean. Hope you're hope you're well. Yes, I'm very well. Hope you're well too. And Ray is here, says hello all. Gridrunner's Shack says hi everyone. Merry Christmas to you. Made in Scotland from Girders, yes indeed. And Jason says, don't worry, Dean. Well, thank you, Jason. Tom is here. Hello, Tom. And Seth is here. Hello there. And Ben is here. Hi, Dean, and season greetings are all in chat. Absolutely, Ben. Same to you. Now, I will now bring on the guests. So first up, we have a long-time supporter and a very loyal friend. This is, well, in fact, before I even say it, please welcome to the stage, Tree. Greetings, Tree.
Hey, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, sir. And next up, another loyal friend to the channel. It's Monkey Boys Toys.
Hello.
Hello there.
Greetings, gentlemen. Season's greetings to you both. Nice to see you.
Nice to
Season
see
greetings. And another loyal member of the family. It's Retro Toy Guy Sai. Greetings, Sai.
Hello, ho, ho there.
Ho, ho, ho.
Hello.
Cheers.
And again, another loyal member of the family. It's Seth.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Hello.
And for the first time this year, but not the first time ever, is Jason. Hi, Jason.
Hey,
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Jason.
Greetings. Now, so before we get into the segments, have you guys been watching anything on television or film lately that you want to highlight?
Well, I've been watching the Black Doves. Does anyone
I've not
know
seen-
Black Doves?
I've not
No?
seen that.
No. Okay, it's on Netflix, and
Mhm.
it's starring Keira Knightley and Paddington Bear himself, Ben Wheatley, is it? Yeah.
Oh, right.
And it's very, very good. Very, very good.
So, despite saying I wouldn't, I ended up watching the third installment of Skeleton Crew, and my opinion remains the same. It is fantastic television for 10-year-olds. I mean, really fantastic. But for a 50-year-old Star Wars fan, it's absolutely terrible. And
I'm not finding it too bad, actually.
yeah, I mean, no, I mean, like I said, it's good television for
Mm.
a younger audience, but so far I have seen nothing that connects it to the Star Wars world. And given that I believe it's 8 episodes in total, so we're now at 3, so
Mm.
we're almost at the halfway point. Nothing about it is Star Wars. And it just seems to me that Disney has absolutely no idea what they are doing with Star Wars. Jason, am I wrong here?
I think they're trying to go down a different route, and like I said, it wasn't made for us,
No.
and that's what you got to remember. For this to carry on,
Mhm.
because we are all going to die at some point,
Yeah.
and this has got. And if they wanted to carry on, they're trying to catch the younger market and see if they like it. But
Right.
at the same time, you look at it, everything screams 80s in the show. So in some bets, they are trying to still grab us by showing us things that we think, oh yeah, Goonies,
Yeah.
Harry Potter, and other things that people get people in. So,
Right.
and it is some elements at the moment. I mean, you saw, now, am I right? You did see The Mandalorian, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Now, there was pirates in that as well. So
There
it's
was.
not too far off. And the thing is, now, am I right? You didn't read the books, did you?
No, I did not. No.
Right, in a lot of books, in what they call the Legendary series, there is pirates out there. There is, and the thing you've got to remember, Han Solo and all that technically are pirates as well.
Yeah.
But they're smugglers. But in some aspects, they're touching on the pirate side. So in a sense, we're seeing part of the galaxy that we never got to see.
No,
You know?
I understand that, but the minute I see a robot with a peg leg giving it the whole "ooh me arties" type speech, that just screams to me as catering for a very sort of juvenile audience.
Oh, I
Maybe
think
It is funny.
Yeah.
we all like the Goonies because when we were kids we watched the Goonies, right?
Yeah.
So now they're recreating the Goonies so that our kids can watch it and
Right,
get the
yeah.
feeling that we had when we watched the Goonies. So you get a whole new generation in.
Yeah.
Plus, it's just and you mix it with Star Wars so that the kids go, "Hey, Star Wars, I like some Star Wars,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I'll watch it." And Disney
I-
have to make a lot of money to
Yeah.
make back their investments.
I mean, I agree
Is that
completely, but this might be a kind of left field opinion, but I would assume that most sort of science fiction, comic book, superhero type fans are now men in their sort of 40s and 50s. Why do they not cater to that audience? Because I have seen shows which are based in science fiction, superhero type thing, who do cater to that audience, and those are damn good shows. But this whole insistence on, I understand Disney has to get a whole new audience, which is bearing in mind, we became Star Wars fans when we were like in our, 10-year-old, 12-year-old. I guess they're trying to do that again for the younger audience. Sadly, these shows are just not for me. I put my hand up and say that.
I mean, it's like the one before, the other show. I mean, I did watch it. I didn't watch it all in one go. I didn't even watch it when it was on. I watched like the first couple of episodes. Then I had a break. Then I went back. And I still finished it within a couple of weeks of it ending. But what I liked about, yes, there's a lot of things wrong with that show. But I'm a person that like to look at the background, and I like to see things that we don't get to see. So, yeah, the storyline was a bit, and basically showing us the Jedi's was also semi-evil in a way. Well, that one was.
Yeah.
But, again, the storyline wasn't the best. But again, if you don't get the great writers or good writers to say, sad fact, I mean, we just got to come back to the figures. When you finally get people who listens and finally starts doing it, you start getting what we want. Or they realise that's what we want, and where they've been posting like they've done retro lines for Mandor and every other show. Yes, I'm a sucker. I do buy them because it's like, but I normally pick and choose. But because they try and they're like, oh yeah, let's put the shows on. Then they want the figures.
Well,
You don't need them in retro line, really.
no. Well, that's a good point, Jason, because just this week, Hasbro announced a future release of retro collection figures that are very much based on something older guys would like to buy.
Yeah.
And it's taken them, now, in my estimate, I believe retro collection debuted in 2019.
Correct.
So it's taken them 5 years to realize the older guys who are their market want characters and figures that were never released from the old days.
Yeah.
So why they insist on pushing out all this modern stuff, I just don't really understand that.
I think they're trying to, because some people, I mean, I look at some of the figures, I mean, if they did not bring out the new show figures in retro line, would I have been that bothered? No. Pardon me. I mean, I wouldn't be that bothered at all.
I
Fair enough,
think
Simon.
that Hasbro, hi AJ, I think that Hasbro have in their contract with Disney that Disney say, okay, you're making these figures.
Yeah.
This is what we're giving you a license for. That's why we're getting all the weird. That's why we got all the Acolyte stuff. No one was asking for that. But I bet that Disney said, hey, this is our new show. This is what you get. This is what you have to make.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a deal with the devil for
Although in saying that, though, Hasbro has many options whereby they have Vintage Collection and Black Series. And don't they also do like a weird kind of 5-point of articulation line as well?
Is it a 5? I've actually done a video of that.
Well,
They
4 to
look.
5, but it's some
I think
kind of
they're
like
4.
4 point. Okay, but it's aimed at very young children.
Yes.
Why? Okay, so they have like at least 3 avenues to make Acolyte figures. Why do they insist on kind of polluting the retro collection line? Which also, bearing in mind, I think Hasbro really screwed up, whereby they called Vintage Collection, whereby the whole retro collection should have been called Vintage Collection, if that makes sense.
Now, am I right? Because I missed a big gap, and I don't know how I missed a big gap. I mean, I think it was about 6 years I weren't going to London at all, and that's obviously so I didn't get to see Theatre Mounts. And that's where I missed it. I didn't know Vintage was about till I went to America in 2000. I was going to America, but I didn't see them out there till I popped down in 2019. I'm sure of 2019. I popped into a Walmart there, and I found the Jabba the Hutt, that's with Han Solo thing, Bob. And I was like, wow. But what I'm trying to say, how long has the Vintage Collection been out before then, before the retro line? Because in a sense, now if Vintage was out before the retro line, they sort of like couldn't, I think they could not swap the names around.
Yeah. Well,
maybe.
I recall being in a Walmart circa 2005 and seeing Vintage Collection, or what I thought was Vintage Collection, because it was indeed vintage card backs, but with modern figures. So it could be as far back as 2005.
Right.
But regardless, Yeah.
They didn't they have the trilogy collection,
Yeah.
original
Yeah.
trilogy
Saga
collection or something like that, and that saga
And the
collection?
Saga.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
and that,
And the
that they
30th
were,
anniversary ones.
yeah, and then they went into vintage
Yeah.
Mm.
collection.
Yeah.
Why
The thing
they
is,
kept the
I
name
missed all them.
Yeah, I got a few of the saga. I've got a
Mm.
saga Boba Fett. I think it was a saga
But
trilogy. Sorry, it was a trilogy Boba Fett. I've got.
yeah.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
is the consensus that what is now called vintage collection should have been what is now retro collection?
Yeah, it should have been. But
Yeah.
it does get a bit confusing when you try and
Yeah.
search on eBay.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
Both
exactly.
thumbs
I
up.
was going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Now, a question for Tree, who is thankfully for the first time ever on my, or actually the second time ever, I am no longer the elder statesman on this stream. Now, Tree, you have a couple of boys. Do they enjoy collecting modern Star Wars toys?
Well, they're at the age where they're looking back to the 80s, and
Yeah.
they enjoy establishing a collection based on what I had
Right.
pulled out of the attic.
Yeah.
So, but occasionally, it's fun to sit down with my eldest son and we'll turn on something that I was oblivious to, like the Clone Wars or
Mm-hmm.
something like you were just mentioning, the Skeleton Crew.
Yeah.
So we get to have that camaraderie, even
Right.
though we're several generations apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And Seth, do you collect any sort of modern Star Wars figures?
Not really, not really. Most modern stuff I'm interested in are the custom designed retro looking figures like
Right. Right.
these kind of things, but I'm not really a modern collector, no. I do
Right.
buy regularly stuff I find in discounts, the Star Wars stuff or
Yeah.
something, but then it's not really in a range of.
Right. And a Monkey Boy, I think you are pretty much across the board for your collection. So do you seek out modern figures, or is it just a case of if you see it for sale, you pick it up?
I think it depends on the figure, really. I mean, when the Black Series came out initially in 2013, I didn't catch it at the time, and it was only a couple of years later that I saw it, and I was very taken with the articulation and the detail.
Yeah.
And I went quite heavily in on Black Series, and I was buying pretty much all of them. But now I would say I'm very picky with what I buy.
Yeah.
I've got a few vintage collection figures, but I will only really pick up the characters that I really like. Boba Fett, Lando, Skiff Guard,
Right.
Boosh, Leia,
Right.
things like that. I have got a couple of the figures from Ahsoka because I like those characters. So yeah, I kind of I pick and choose and cherry pick between the stuff. I mean, I do collect the vintage Kenner figures, but I'm not at all a completist, and I doubt I will ever have all of them. It's just not something that I feel is necessary to do. But certainly, I want to have a good representation of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, Dave made a very interesting phrase there, which I agree with. He said completist, which also is the phrase I use. I've heard completionist. Which is the general consensus here?
I don't think completionist is a word. I think
Me
it's,
too. Yeah.
All
I
words
mean,
are
it
made
can
up.
be one. It can be one. Why not?
Yeah.
We know what we
Yeah.
mean.
Words.
Yeah. Now, also going back to your point there about the Black Series, in 2012, I bought my first ever Star Wars Lego set at the Lego store at Rockefeller Center because my parents came over from Scotland to visit, and they said, "Okay, it's your birthday. We will buy you something." And I ended up choosing a Lego X-Wing and an Lego TIE Fighter. And they also said, well, because Petchy's here, you pick something. And she bought some Harry Potter Lego. So that was 2012. And that got me hooked. And I remember distinctly one lunch break when working in Manhattan. I went to the Toys R Us in Times Square to buy the latest Star Wars Lego. Now, bearing in mind, I only bought Lego from the original trilogy, and this was before the sequels. So it was either original trilogy or the prequels, and I only stuck with original trilogies. Now, if I remember rightly, I was picking up the Droid Escape pod, and I was standing in line to pay for this thing, and I glanced round, and I think I saw the first ever Black Series Star Wars figures. And for a moment, I was excited. Oh my God, it's new Star Wars. But then I looked again, I thought, that's not the figures I remember. And from that moment on, Black Series just never really came into my sort of radar of thinking. It's and again, this goes back to something that I may address in the future. I don't actually consider myself to be a toy collector, if that makes sense or not.
Like a memory collector.
It doesn't make any sense. No, that makes no sense.
Yeah, you have you have a big display that says otherwise.
Well, no, I believe I am a collector of memories.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
A collector of
Yeah.
stories, memories. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I said, I saw these. I saw these brand new Star Wars figures for the first time since, I mean, for me, since probably like 95, because I was there to witness the birth of Power of the Force 2. And those didn't appeal to me.
No.
And I
Well,
saw
well,
the Black
that-
Series, and I thought, yeah, it's Star Wars, but it's not my Star Wars. And from that moment on, I really didn't have any further interest. But there you go. So let's just catch up with the chat, and we'll get to our first segment. So we have Rick saying, hi from Italy. Well, good to see you, sir. Bearded Geek Toy Reviews. Hello, everyone, and a very Merry Christmas. And likewise to you. Likewise to you. Rick agrees. Ben says hi to Tree Monkey Boy Travels with Jason and Seth and RetroTalk SI. Great panel, Demo. Thank you, Ben. And Tom says, I'm actually genuinely enjoying it. Absolutely. As I said, Skeleton Crew I think it's a great show. I genuinely think it's a well done, fantastic show. It just wasn't aimed at someone who's old like me, but that's quite okay. Not everything is for everyone. George says, Merry Christmas from Germany. Well, good to see you, sir. Fra Donaghy, finally getting a Sunday off to watch the traditional 88 Christmas stream. Well, thank you for tuning in. Tom says, the main thing I like about it is it's not afraid to go into the stranger elements, as when the story doesn't deliver. Visually, visually, it's a fantastic show. It really is. Absolutely. And Adrian says, hello, and hello to you. Barry says, I'm looking forward to seeing how the Retro Sand Trooper turns out. Yeah, me too. I think it's going to be a dirtied regular Stormtrooper with some plastic stuck on the side. But, you know, it's okay. Gerard, good to see you. Hi, everyone. Tom says, the Saga Legacy Collect was my era of stuff. Yeah, I'm sure it was. Nice. I got that 2012 X-Wing for my fifth birthday. Oh, my God, fifth? now I feel old.
Awesome.
Let me think. 2012. So what are we talking? 12 years ago. Oy, good Lord. And Ben,
I'll be 39 still.
Yeah, you're making us all feel old. So let's head into the first segment, which I think is actually, no, before we even get to that, let me share with you what I did today. Now, I did this earlier in the year for Mrs. 88's father's side of the family. We had another of these kind of memorial type gatherings around a grave which is not at all morose. It's quite a celebration, really.
Mm-hmm.
And it culminates with quite the show. So we were stood around this grave. They were eating and drinking, and there was all manner of streamers and colored flowers everywhere. But this is how they really do celebrate their dead relatives. So let me just share with you a quick video, and we'll get right back into our first segment.
จับประทัดก่อนจับให้มันนิ่งๆแล้วก็เพนยังเอาวิ่งเพนเลย
Now,
Very
I just love the pause before the final explosion.
I love the people in the background with their fingers in their ears.
Well, actually, that should have been me, because when that thing went off, I was like, "Oh my god, that was rather loud." It's quite a contrast to the whole sort of very British solemn type affair.
Mm.
But yes, quite an experience. And
Sending them off with a bang, for sure.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I experienced this earlier, I think April of this year, and I thought I was accustomed to that banging, but no. When I was holding that camera, my eardrums were absolutely rattling. So I think, where did I get to in the chat? I think we got to Adrian. We got, let me see. Yeah, we're up to date. So first segment, which I've not even decided which it is yet. I have many options to choose from. So we have, pick one for Christmas. So here we go. Right. So I've selected at random a series of toys from the 80s, and you can decide based on if you were a child in the 80s or if you are now collecting as an adult. But which one of these toys would you wish to have? Now, I'm going to have to enlarge my screen so I can actually see these things. But I think we have a Ghostbusters fire station, an Ecto-1 with what looks like a pot of slime. We also have a series of Action Force. Now, Tree, I hope you understand the Action Force was kind of the first iteration of G.I. Joe in the UK. So it's very much the same kind of family.
Got it.
We have the Lego monorail, which was part of the space Lego thing. And for Masters of the Universe, I believe this is Fright Zone and a slime pit. So Tree, I think the way it looks on the screen here, if you were to choose either as a child or as an adult collector, which one of these things would you wish to have?
As a child, for sure, the space monorail. I never had any of the space Legos.
Oh, right. Wow.
I remember there was some talk about a monorail system going in at Disney World in Florida. But man, if I could have one of those and play with, I would play with that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, because I think, now I did have a Lego motor as a child, which was a rather large block with 4 axles that could rotate, but it had this whole sort of wire to the controller, and it was either forwards or backwards. That was it. I don't know what is involved with this monorail, and I believe it was circular, which would be pretty cool. Anyone else want to chime in about this monorail?
Well, my brother had that monorail, So
Oh,
I
wow.
can confirm it was circular.
Okay.
And as you can see from the picture there, it would go down and round. Sorry, are you talking about the Lego monorail or the Disneyland monorail?
Lego.
Lego.
The Lego one, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so it would go down and around and then back up, and you had like two little stations.
Ah,
I'm pointing
cool.
at the screen like you guys can see what I'm pointing at.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry. You can see the sort of like that ball thing at
Yeah.
the back of the picture there. That's one station that's on a lower level. And
Right.
then where the train is now, sort of, that's the higher level station.
Right.
And there were little turny bits on the track, if I remember rightly, that would switch,
Right.
and it would catch the motor of the train is in the middle of the train,
Mhm.
and it would sort of catch a little switch on that and stop it where you wanted it to stop.
Mm.
And you could load different things into the train.
Ah,
There you go.
cool.
And you know the most
balls, that ball station at the bottom also had an action feature where you could turn a knob and the ball would open up.
Oh,
So what's the footprint on that? Is it like, a couple of feet square, or is it smaller? What?
I'd say it was probably a meter long. Yeah.
Okay.
I saw that in a charity shop up London about, I would say a year, maybe 18 months ago. It's actually a charity shop in South Keys. And let's say when I saw the price, I was like, yeah, righto. And it was like, yeah. It was over £200 I wanted.
Oh.
They said it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a box. It was just loose Lego.
Just loose.
Wow.
Now,
It's my brother. My brother has got it still in the box. Actually, when I
wow.
come over to England next time, I'll see if he's still got it and if I can borrow it, and I'll make a video on it.
Yeah. Now, does anyone else ever remember having motorized Lego?
Yes, I did. I used to have this range of Lego Technics.
Mm-hmm.
I think when it first appeared somewhere in the 80s, and I got this very well-known yellow seaplane. It was a plane that could land on water.
Okay.
And it had an optional motor, and it was a little electro motor you could build into the Lego, and it had the one you described, Dean, it had a wire with a remote going in directions. And I remember
battery pack with the remote. It was grey with a big battery pack with a remote control. Yeah.
And two buttons on top, and it had quite a lot of batteries. I remember, was it triple A's or double A batteries, like 4 of them.
Like that.
Yeah. I remember these motorized options, but they were like optional. You could just build your Lego piece and then add it to. And I really used to enjoy that because it was the first time I had an easy system where I could experiment and play with, that I could build something new out of a car that drove around.
Yeah.
Cool. I learned a lot of playing with these kind of motorized Lego. Yeah.
So my question is, I've often said that Lego in general is in my top 3 all-time toy lines.
Yeah.
Does anyone else agree or disagree with that?
I do agree.
Yeah. I actually put it in my top 5. I put it at number 1.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just so diverse, and it's still around now.
I think.
Yeah. Go ahead, Seth.
One of the most important lessons I learned from Lego is think beyond the brick. I remember one day I couldn't get a thing built, and I asked my father. He took a piece of paper and he used some paper to arrange a few bricks. And that's really when I started thinking, there is a Lego system, which I got used to, but you can expand on that. That's a really, I think, a challenging toy for children to think creatively, get idea of structures.
Yeah.
I think because with Lego, you bought one toy, but essentially you were buying 100 toys for that one price.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is the only toy that can really do that, because most toys, it's a one and done type deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with Lego, whatever your imagination desires, you can make whatever you so wish, which is a wonderful thing for both kids and adults. So anyway, moving on. So Tree picked the Lego, I believe. Monkey Boy, what would you pick from this selection here?
Well, I think as a child, I would have definitely picked the Ghostbusters Firehouse because I always wanted that. So that would have been an easy choice as a child. But of course, now I have all of the stuff, or most of the Ghostbuster stuff. So actually, as an adult collector, I think I'd probably reach back into the mists of time and I would grab that Fright Zone, I think.
Now, did that have any sort of play feature?
The Fright Zone?
Yeah.
Well, it had a working door that you could open and sort of trap a character behind. The tree on the top was sort of hinged in the middle, and it would fold up to capture a figure. And then it had the sort of like a glove puppet of a serpent snaky thing, a rubberized snake that you could use to come out of the hole and grab people. Unfortunately, because of the rubber material that they used on that snake, there are very few that have survived today. They tend to sort of perish and disintegrate. So it's difficult to find one in good condition with an intact snake. But I think that's the one I'd probably like to have now.
Yeah. Now, before we move on to size pick, it just occurred to me that looking at Action Force, they are offering 3 figures as one kind of package deal. Would that have influenced your choices as a child to get now, I'm not saying it's 3 for 1, it's probably 3 for a relative price. But if you were to walk into a store and have a box of 3 figures for one sort of relative price, would that be something that would have appealed to you then or even today?
I think it would, yes. Back in the day.
If I was with my parents, I would use it as a bargaining chip. Hey, look at what a bargain it is to get 3 figures for the
So it looks like, I mean, obviously my eyesight's not what it was once, but it looks like 3 SAS figures. Now, is that Z-Force or Z-Force?
And Z-Force.
And 3 of the Red Shadows with Iron Blood.
Yeah. You have the Muton and the Red Shadow Trooper. Yeah.
Now, also as well, bearing in mind, I kind of stole these from an old Argos catalog. Those were just essentially 3 figures, not a special pack. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
there were.
if you read the writing,
packs.
It may say you can check the. If I remember, when I used to go into Argos, and you used to write down the code, and then you go to the counter, and then they bring out a whole selection of figures, and then you basically then choose that one figure out of that lot.
Right.
And basically, I mean, I don't know if as you probably say it's probably per figure, but you've got to. They'll bring. I did the same with Star Wars and other things back in the day, and I actually remember you just go in, write the code down, and they bring everything out of that what they got left basically, and show right, this is what we got. What one do you want?
Oh, really?
You'll probably find that's what that is.
Yeah. Now, before we get to Sai for his pick, a quick story for you all. So in Thailand, there is no Amazon. They have eBay to an extent, but I do all my shopping on a site called shopee.co.th. And unfortunately, to register, you have to be a Thai citizen. So I had to register using Mrs. 88's details and her phone number. So every time I buy something, she gets an email saying, you have just purchased something. And she has a really bad habit of putting her phone down and walking away somewhere. and the phone starts ringing. I have to chase after her with the phone. So I thought, I can solve this. I will get her for Christmas a Samsung watch. So I went onto shopee.co.th and I found a Samsung watch. And before ordering, I said, out of curiosity, if you were to have a smartwatch, what color would you like? And she says, oh, I think I like black. Okay. I ordered the black Samsung watch. And she comes home yesterday. She said, oh, I got a phone call from Shopee. And the guy said, he's out of black Samsung watches. Is white okay? I'm like, oh, my, there's my surprise gone.
Oh.
So yeah, so today the white one arrived today. So surprise is evaporated, but yeah. And also as well, just to add as well, my Thai bank account, I had to use her phone number to register for that. So again, every time I withdraw money or use my bank account, she gets the text message. So I have no secrets in Thailand. Anyway, Sai, of the gifts on offer here, what would you pick?
Okay, well, yeah, if it was 1988, I'd probably be going for the Firehouse, the Ghostbusters.
Right.
But if we were in 1983, 84, and as a collector now, I would definitely be going for these guys, the Action Force.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, Tree, quick question to an American.
Sure.
Our Action Force began as 5 POA military figures. And then, given the success of G.I. Joe in America, our Action Force kind of became G.I. Joe. Does anything about these 5 POA figures appeal to you as a young kid in the 80s?
Oh, absolutely. Especially, did you say SAS, the 3?
Yeah.
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 And what's the vehicle below the Jeep setup?
You have the Panther, which is the Jeep. That's the and then under that is the Red Shadows. It's not the Exterminator. I can't remember what it's called.
No, is it?
That made so much more sense to me as a kid, because I had the 12-inch G.I. Joe with the Jeep, and you can imagine trying to pack that into a car and take it to his house or wherever you're going. So this line would totally appeal to me.
Yeah. And it's funny because it was Action Force that took me out of Star Wars, because 1983 was my big Star Wars Christmas. And that was the last of it for me for Star Wars. I discovered Action Force, and Star Wars was a distant memory. I really embraced Action Force, and that lasted actually a short while, and then we had Transformers. But yeah,
I always had, because Action Force and Star Wars were on exactly the same scale. I always had them side by side.
Yeah, I did as well.
Mixing in.
Now that's something I could not ever do for some reason. It might be a symptom of OCD, but I thought Star Wars was Star Wars, Action Force is Action Force. And then when it got to Mask, nothing can work with Mask.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a scaling problem.
Yeah.
There was no way that He-Man was playing with your Mask figures.
No.
But I didn't mix toy lines up either. I kept them.
No.
I kept them distinct from one another.
Just
while we're speaking about Action Force, when Action Force started in the UK, did they have the O-ring, or were they a solid torso?
No, they were just
solid
like
torso.
Star
They
Wars
were like-
figures.
Yeah.
they were solid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They
Did they
were
ever
like this guy here.
go to O-ring?
Yes.
Yeah.
When
Yeah,
it
they
turned
took
into
over the,
international.
Now,
They turned
Am I
into
right?
International Heroes, which was the G.I. Joe. It was exactly the same, but in the comics, they got their separate storyline, which that turned Baron Ironblood, which was the bad guy from the Red Shadows. His ironically the guy in white with the red guys, and he turned into Cobra Commander.
Ah.
So was it a case of Hasbro basically, after Palitoy did Action Force for a couple of years, Hasbro said, okay, we will take our G.I. Joes and just repackage them into a new line, but those were the same figures that America got, or were they slightly different?
I think, if I remember rightly, what I remember hearing, now if I remember rightly, it was still Palitoy in the UK that sold the Action Force line.
Mhm.
And I think, because obviously it was Kenner, still, obviously Hasbro didn't really, it was basically Kenner. And basically, I think they decided, I think something happened with Palitoy.
I think the Palitoy ended up going bust, didn't they?
There we are.
Palitoy went out of business, and then Hasbro took over. So we ended up with you had. Can I get to it? Yes, we had packaging that was like this
Mhm.
with the Palitoy with the action man there.
Yeah.
And then when Palitoy went bust, there is a line of figures. The first line of sort of G.I. Joe Action Force came out on these card backs. And then once Palitoy was done, these went bye-bye. And the Hasbro packaging took over just with Action Force International Heroes on it. And Cobra. So the Red Shadows disappeared and they just became Cobra.
Right.
Yeah.
So Asai, just to confirm, what was your pick from this selection?
I'll show you.
Okay. Okay. Right. Now, is that just in general or any one particular item on screen?
Oh, well, I'll take it all. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on. Seth, if you can have one item from what you see here, which one would you have then or have today?
I would have had the Lego box because that was the first space Lego I knew. I think around the time I was playing with it, it got released with the blue windows and the white bricks that these series. It might have been the Ghost House, the Ghostbusters headquarters. I was a real big fan of the Ghostbusters back in the day, but I always found it a pity that they were representative for the cartoons and not for the movies. So that's why my choice would fall onto the Lego box. And actually, Action Force here in Central Europe, I never saw it as a child. I always knew the G.I. Joe 3.75 inches figures. But I of course, I recognize very much of the Action Force vehicles because they were similar in both lines. Yeah. But I learned about Action Force actually much later, maybe 5 years ago or something.
Oh, that's funny because you definitely had it over here. Because if I put this up to the camera, this is a Dutch version. Camera there, so you see, it's in Netherlands.
A version of Holland or Belgium?
I've bought it. Oh, it's also in French, so this may have been Belgian as well. I know it was also available in Germany, so it must have been around.
Do you know when G.I. Joe arrived in Europe? Exact year?
80.
No idea.
86, maybe?
85.
Maybe before we used to have done Action Force. Because I do remember knowing of the tall Action Man figures. That was the generation of my fathers who used to have them.
That makes me feel old.
Yeah, I only had one proper the big Action Man, the big version, and then I had some vehicles that I got from my neighbor's kid, but he was a teenager when I was sort of about 8 or something. But I only had the one, and it was sort of going out of fashion when I was a kid, and then going to the smaller versions.
Yeah, Just a comment here. When I was going through the old catalogs, I think 83, 84 was the last time I saw the Big Action Man advertised.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably about right.
Yeah.
It was cheaper to produce the smaller versions,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and especially for the vehicles.
Right.
Definitely.
So finally, Jason, what will you be having?
Well, if I was a kid, I know what I would have gone for, and I never had it, but I did have some of it back
Mhm.
then, and that would be the Lego monorail system.
Yeah. Right.
And it would gone well with my couple of space bits and other Lego kits I had back then. Now, as an adult, I've bit of a hard one because I've just got back into Lego quite heavily, so I could easily just gone back to it. But really, I think I probably would have gone for Action Force
Mm-hmm.
because I remember having them as a kid, but never knew. I always bought them secondhand at boot fairs. I mean, I don't think. I think I may have had one that was international, so not this line later on.
Right.
No, but the rest of what the Palatoy early stuff, no, it was all secondhand. So
Yeah.
I think I would have Action Force
Yeah.
as an
Nice.
adult.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Now, Tree, a quick question for you. So clearly, by the time G.I. Joe 3.75 became a thing, you were probably beyond playing with them. But do you recall seeing them advertised in America?
No, I don't recall.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think for us in the UK, Action Force began, I believe, 1982 as Action Force.
Okay.
And then circa 85, it kind of became some sort of heroes or something, or international
International heroes.
heroes.
Mm.
I'll be honest with you. I remember distinctly Action Force. Well, one, because I bought the damn things, but two, I have no memory of them becoming those O-ring multi-articulated figures. And that would have been circa 85.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
But I remember getting the Palatoy Action Force, and like I said to you, I did buy a couple of G.I. Joe Action Force International figures later on. And I bought one with it's one of the evil guys. He's got his own sledge and he can change his face. And he was O-ring.
Zartan.
That's the one. And so I do actually remember them going to O-ring. I think then also, when it went to O-ring, I was a bit like, yeah. But I've used to Star Wars and them. I wasn't really into it that much.
Mm. Yeah.
Well, I've never had any Action Force. I don't have any now. I didn't have any then. With the exception of one figure that I had, and I don't know if it was Action Force or not. Maybe you guys can tell me. He was kind of like a diver-looking guy, and he was orange and blue, if I remember. I don't know if he was Action Force or not.
He may have been.
There was a G.I. Joe figure you described, like a diver. What was it called?
Orange and blue.
I think he had like an orange body and legs, and I think he had blue gloves and boots, and he may have had a silver diving helmet or something. That's the only figure that I have that might have been possibly Action Force or something like that.
This guy?
It almost sounds like Fisher Price.
I can't see because it's too small, but it might.
Hang on. Let me make. If I can make. Can I do this? No. How do I make him big?
I'm trying to see.
Hang on. Let me see here. Nope. Okay. I'm struggling here.
It's okay.
Okay. Sorry about that. So, is that the one, Monkey Boy?
No, it wasn't. That's an O-ring figure, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is an O-ring guy.
Yeah, no, the one I had wasn't an O-ring. It was just a 5 POA, and it was a lot
Oh,
simpler
was he
than that.
yellow
Not as-
then?
not as
He
detailed.
was probably yellow, not orange. If he was yellow, he would have been a Q-Force diver.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
he would have looked like this guy. I've only got the SAS version, which is this guy.
Oh, okay.
So he's all black because he's SAS.
Did you say he had a helmet?
No, that's cool.
Yeah, he did have a helmet, but he didn't have any tubes or anything on him. But he was, that's the only, and I'm sure it was something to do with Action Force or something very similar. But that was the only real toy of that kind I had. Everything else I had was always, it was either He-Man, Star Wars, or
Oh, hang on,
or
Jason
Mars.
has something.
That one?
That
It's like a
it
surprise.
was definitely similar to that. Yeah, but I've got a feeling that the helmet was.
Hang on,
squarer.
Jason. Here we go.
Yeah, could have been similar. I seem to remember him being orange and blue though.
There might have been different colours of him because they've
if he
used this figure in other parts.
If he was orange and blue, he may have been Space Force.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
The space ones. I'm sure
That
they
rings
were
a bell.
orange and blue. I used to have one, but I gifted it to Jason.
Maybe he wasn't a diver then. Maybe he was an astronaut then.
Could be. I know that Jason's definitely got one because I gifted it to him.
Right. So we have done pick one toy. Next up, my next segment is what?
It's a Tri-Fighter.
Oh, hang on. That dude
hang
sitting
on.
in the thing.
Hang on.
He looks like it might have been one.
Hang on, wait, hold on. What's this? Orange.
Yeah,
There we
that's
go.
the guy.
Ah,
That's
Baseball.
the guy.
wow.
Ah,
There you go. And
cool.
that is, if I'm not wrong, that is the one I gifted you, Jason,
Oh, he was.
or that one.
That one.
Okay. Space Force.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, Baseball.
Okay, and
We got there in the end.
Yay.
yeah, a good problem solving there. So next up, we have food only at Christmas. So here we go.
Food.
Right, so I have a selection of foods and drinks we only ever saw at Christmas time. So this time, now, the first one goes hand in hand. Now, Tree, I apologize, this is very much a UK-based confectionery, but Roses and Quality Street. Now, I believe these were sold all year round, but we only ever saw them at Christmas time. Now, if I go around the whole panel here, is there a preference, Roses or Quality Street?
Quality Street. I don't know Roses. But...
Quality Street, definitely.
Oh,
Every year, Quality Street in that tin.
That's difficult because Roses had some really good ones in there.
Mhm.
There
Yeah.
might have been a coffee one that I didn't like, but Quality Street I always felt was a bit let down by the toffee pennies. They were,
yeah.
I mean, they're
Oh.
okay,
I
but
love the toffee pennies.
they would always end up getting left. You'd find got seven candies left, and they're all toffee pennies. But
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Roses I found are a little bit sickly if you ate too many of them. But
True,
I think
true.
the king of all of those is the Quality Street hazelnut in the purple wrapper.
Perfect.
yeah. That's one.
I
Yeah.
always like was it the truffle, the green triangle?
Yes.
Oh, the
Green triangle.
praline or praline,
Yeah.
whatever.
The one with Rosalind Orange also. Was
Yeah.
it the other one? I can't
Yes.
remember.
Now,
Yeah.
now, for me, I am 100% on the side of Roses because, as Monkey Boy said, that toffee penny in Quality Street was an absolute stinker. Because now, bearing in mind, where I was living, and I'm sure most of you were as well, the UK is not a hot country, and that toffee penny was as hard as a rock.
Mm.
Oh
Oh,
yeah, definitely. It
like,
was a
you know
tooth
what I mean?
puller. If you
Yeah.
if you had a weak tooth, you'd find
Yeah.
it in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did, in fact, I did lose a tooth to a
Mhm.
toffee penny. I can remember it. I bit down on it, and when I
What-
opened my mouth again, the tooth stayed in the toffee.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Now, Tree, I have a question for you. So you clearly grew up with Hershey's being the kind of main provider of chocolates. Have you ever sampled Cadbury's chocolate?
Yes, yeah, for sure. And I can say it's superior for sure.
Yeah. Now, I've always found Hershey's to have somewhat of a soapy taste to it. Almost a soapy, cheesy taste, which is kind of bizarre to say about chocolate.
Yeah,
But I could not
bit waxy.
understand. Yeah, waxy. I could not understand why Americans went crazy for Hershey's when clearly Cadbury is still on the shelf to an extent in America. And but for me, going back to these two, though, there was no question I was a much bigger fan of Rose's. Now, out of curiosity, does anyone know which chocolate company made Quality Street?
Macadons, wherever it says on the tin.
Yeah. But was that like Roundtrees or Nestle or I don't know.
But
It does say on the tin, but I'm like, it to me, it sounds like a Scottish company or a Scottish
Simon will find out.
name.
I don't think
Simon
it
will
was,
find out for us.
but also bearing in mind, I did select some vintage pictures,
Roundtrees.
and clearly, when you buy those items today, you are not getting that much confectionery for your money.
No.
You're not. I bought them today.
Yeah, those things have
yeah.
shrunk in size.
Sorry, just coming in with a news flash. Quality Street are made by Roundtree Macintosh.
Okay.
And now, well, they're now made by Nestle because they bought
Nestle.
it out in 1988.
Right.
There
Now,
you go. Google, we have the technology.
now, here's a quick intersection. When picking these images, I had a flashback to a chocolate bar called Yorkie. And I remember there being a bit of a scandal because Yorkie was kind of the sort of manly alternative to other chocolate bars. And their packaging would reflect that by saying, not for girls.
Yeah. Their whole advertising campaign, they had adverts where they would like knock it out of the hands of women and say it's for men.
Yeah.
It definitely would not fly these days. Yeah.
No. I also remember in the 80s, the commercial was this real sort of rugged truck driver munching down on a bar of Yorkie. And it kind of gave the impression that if you ate Yorkie, you were a real sort of bona fide man. So nowadays, how do they advertise Yorkie? Or do they not?
I have not seen a Yorkie advert for years.
I don't think they advertise most of this stuff.
Yeah.
Sai, did you see maybe in Holland 6 years ago the campaign slogan of a beer called Jupiler, and it was it went "Men know why." That was the Jupiler, the beer. Did you ever see it?
I've not seen that one. But to be fair, I don't watch much real television, so I don't get to see too many commercials.
Okay.
Only what pops up in front of YouTube videos.
Yeah.
So before we move on, so what's the consensus now? I understand Tree has no kind of skin in this game, but I am a vote for Rose's. Tree, if you were faced with those two tins, which one would you choose?
Well, I'd probably go with the Roses based on I don't want to go see the dentist with those others.
Yeah. Okay. Monkey Boy?
I think I'd probably choose Roses, but I would be regretting that decision based on the hazelnut. caramel
Ah,
of Quality Street.
Si?
Oh, I'm going for the dentist nightmare of Quality Street, please.
And Seth?
Quality Street, definitely.
Jason?
Oh.
Quality Street, that's something my
Oh.
nan
Oh, so-
always had
Okay.
as a
We're
kid.
split. Okay, it's half and half. It's all good. Now, next up, we have a drink called Advocaat, which I believe, Si, comes from Holland.
Yeah, it's quite possible. I had never seen it before I came to Holland,
What?
and then yeah, oh, it was probably about, but I just never really noticed it.
Ah.
My parents don't really drink,
Right.
so my father would only drink his own homemade wine,
Ah.
which had a double purpose as a drain cleaner as well because it
Yeah.
was so strong. My grandfather, he was in the Navy, so the only tradition that he carried on once he left the Navy was to have a tot of rum every day.
Of course.
And my grandma would always have a little bit of sherry at Christmas,
Right.
but we
Okay.
we never had the Advocaat.
Right. So a tree, this is a very traditional drink at Christmas.
Okay.
And I believe it is made from egg yolks, cream, and I think vodka. I could be wrong on that, but it's definitely cream, eggs, and some form of alcohol. Now, this
I have a
was
question. Sorry, I have a question
Yeah.
for Tree.
Yeah.
'Cause
yeah.
you have eggnog, right, in America?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So does this Advocaat stuff sound a bit like eggnog? Is
Similar.
I think they have a liqueur version of that.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
that thing on the top of the cup is baffling me in those peppermint
Well,
sticks.
I think they put on some double cream with a cherry for presentation, but in my experience, I only. Well, also, this sounds absolutely terrible, but as a child, I would be given Advocaat and lemonade at Christmas time. I was also given sherry and lemonade. Maybe that's how I ended up this way. But the point is, at Christmas time, that was the only time you ever saw Advocaat. And
Yeah.
now, just to give some context here, when I had to go back to Scotland in 2019 to clean everything out for the last time, I bought a bottle of Advocaat for the purpose of making a video for the following Christmas. And I did exactly that. And as fortune would have it, I had to come back again some 8 months later to close things up. And the bottle was still there. And I didn't know you had to refrigerate Advocaat.
Oh,
So December 2018, I bought the Advocaat, had a few drinks. 8 months later, I'm back in Scotland. It's still on the sideboard, and I did the video for my channel, and I thought, this tastes a bit strange. Well, of course it did, because it contains eggs.
eggs?
God.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or you're
Yeah.
lucky not to get salmonella poisoning or something.
Mhm.
Or
So does it have to be refrigerated when it's unopened, or is it only
No,
after you
Don't
open it?
think so.
After opening. Now,
Okay.
so my question is, does anyone who is from the British Isles ever remember drinking this in the 80s as a child, or am I the only one?
No, I tasted that certainly. It was if there's a Christmas party, it was the only drink that my parents or the family used to drink
Yeah.
that would wake my interest. Because wine and beer as a child, you don't like that. It's
No, exactly. Yeah.
Advocaat had a little bit of that, but I remember several times that I asked, can I taste a spoon of that pudding? And then they gave me a spoon.
Yeah.
And the first impression of the taste I liked because it was sweet, but as soon as I started to taste the alcohol, it was bitter and it was always a bit of a disappointment to me as a child.
I mean,
Yeah.
now, I'm getting a bit concerned here because I remember distinctly at Christmas time, I would be offered, well, not offered, but I would ask for and be given Advocaat and lemonade, peach schnapps and lemonade, and sherry and lemonade.
Yeah.
And that was That was given to me quite freely
Just smoke also.
as a child.
Oh.
I
I
remember my
don't want to
mum
say anything
drinking
about.
it.
I don't want to say anything about stereotypes, but you grew
Yes.
up in Scotland.
I did, yes. Yeah. But I will say this, though. It's quite delicious. It really is. Because it's also tree, you have to understand, it's very much like the consistency of eggnog. It's quite thick.
Hmm.
And
Sure.
it's not something that you can like glug. So therefore, when
Gotcha.
mixed, also, now when I said mixed with lemonade, it's not American lemonade. It's UK lemonade, which essentially is 7-Up without the lime flavor. So it's sparkling, clear lemon pop.
Mm.
And when mixed together, it's quite wonderful. Now, I believe that they call that a snowball. Is that correct?
Snow cocktail, yeah.
Ah.
Or maybe I'm wrong, but that was the drink. But again, only at Christmas. But clearly, given that I bought this in circa August of 2000, no, I tell a lie. I did buy it at Christmas, but I'm assuming it's available all year round, or is it not?
I do
don't know.
believe it is. I'm sure. I'm
Yeah.
not, obviously, I don't really go into the aisle,
Yeah,
but I know every time I do pop in there, if we're looking for something,
yeah.
because that bottle is quite yellow, it
Mhm.
does sort of goes this, hello, I'm here, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do believe it is out all year, but you know.
Now, I'm just thinking here, looking at that cocktail glass, they have the cream, the cherry, and I don't know if that is a stick of cinnamon, but I imagine in my brain that cinnamon would work quite well with this drink.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think that's a candy stick next to it.
Ah, yeah.
But next to it, but in the glass, if I can make this big,
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
let me see. Like here. Oh, it's a straw.
Oh, yeah.
That's a straw, I believe.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, but I believe a cinnamon stick would work well with that. But Advocaat, so am I the only one to ever had Advocaat in the 80s?
I think I had
so.
it. I had a taste of it once because I asked to taste it, and I thought it was banana milkshake.
Yeah.
So I was obviously horrified by the taste of it, and I've never had it since.
Traumatized.
Yeah.
Right. So next up, again, Tree, I do apologize. This is a very British thing, which is cheddar cheese and pickled onion on a cocktail stick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I thought that was cheese and pineapple.
Well, that also.
Yeah, that's just missing the pineapple, that is.
Yeah.
No, see, now cheese and onion, that would be fine. Cheese and pineapple is not good. I didn't
actually,
like that.
Now, Monkey Boy, here's a story for you. Back when, I guess, maybe late 80s, my mum and dad would eat cheese with grapes. And I thought to myself, that is the most horrendous combination I've ever heard of. And my dad said, before you say that, try one and then tell me what you think. And I tried it. My God, it was delicious.
Mm.
A grape with cheddar cheese. Who knew?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And likewise, I think pineapple with a cube of cheddar cheese is quite fantastic. Yeah.
I'm going to try that later. I've got some cheddar cheese downstairs and some grapes.
Yeah, it really.
I'll let you know.
It's a wonderful combination. And
I'll tell you what they. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Monkey Boy.
I'll tell you what they do in parts of Northern England, I think, and I thought this was a joke when I first heard it. They have their Christmas cake, a slice of Christmas cake, but on top of it they put a slice of cheese. And I thought this was a joke. I was like, no, this is a wind up.
Yeah.
But I tried it anyway, and actually, it's really good. It's really, really nice. Very strange thing to do, but yeah.
I mean, and again, clearly the picture is pickled onion and cheese, but a cube or a chunk of pineapple with cheddar cheese on a stick. Wonderful combination.
No, I always found that a bit sinister. But the onion, definitely. I could eat pickled onions all day.
Now, Tree, have you ever tried pickled onion?
No, my family heritage is Swedish, so we have pickled herring.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes we have during Christmas pickled herring on Wausau bread. So we also call it.
Now, excuse my ignorance. Is it the Swedish or the Norwegians that have that fermented fish?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you enjoy that?
Not the one that I think you're referring to. That's nice like an outhouse. But yeah, the pickled herring I enjoy now as an adult. As a kid, no, I would pass on it.
Yeah. But so just so you all know, last week we went to this, what you might call a high-end supermarket in Thailand to do a lot of import stuff. So I managed to get a couple of jars of pickled onions, and I'll go back next week, get the cheddar cheese. I managed to find a can of pineapple chunks, and I will be doing this, but I have never done this kind of hedgehog display. That to me is ridiculous. Bearing in mind,
I didn't want to say it.
Yeah, now here's the thing though. If a cube of cheese has been cut well, first step, onion on the stick, and then the cube of cheese, and then it stands up on its own on the plate. There's no need for this ridiculousness. And likewise, pineapple on, cheese on, stand up on the plate.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, this goes back to something that I've said many times. Pickled onions and cheese are available all year round, but you only ever see them at Christmas time.
Sure.
I think it's the party food. Make it party food of it. Yeah,
definitely party food.
Right.
And so is that all stuck in an orange or a potato or something?
Something like that.
Potato. It's a potato.
No, it's a real hedgehog wrapped in tinfoil.
Yeah.
With his eyes.
The real thing.
Yeah. And last of all, we have Brussels sprouts. Now, before we get to them, I'll share a quick story. So I am a big fan at Christmas of sage and onion stuffing, which I make every year. And essentially pork meat or pork sausage, sage, onion, mix it together, put it in the oven, we're done. That is the taste of Christmas. Now, a year or two back, it was probably June or July, I thought, well, why the hell wait for Christmas? I'm in the supermarket, I found sage, I found onion, I found pork meat. I made the stuffing. It tasted the same, but it did not feel like Christmas. So clearly it's psychological, but Brussels sprouts, I believe, are available all year round, but I only ever remember having them at Christmas.
Oh no, I Brussels is actually the capital of the city where I live in, the country where I live in.
Yeah,
and it was a regular vegetable in our daily food. But I do remember about sprouts that it was like a general cliche of something that children don't like to eat.
yes,
Yeah.
Even an expression in Dutch that says something like distasteful, like sprouts or something.
yeah,
So I always knew them as they have a bit of a stronger taste than most vegetables we
yeah.
if I remember correctly. Yeah, Witlof had it also a bit.
Mhm.
But I remember them steamed with a boiled potato and some meat along with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can tell you, Seth, it's in the cooking. So you had them steamed,
Yeah.
whereas probably my parent, well, my mother, she did the cooking. She probably cooked them the same as everyone in England. Just boil them
Boiled.
until
Yeah.
they're completely dead,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
serve them as some
Mm.
kind of unedible mush.
Yeah.
I prefer them like that.
Actually-
My mum used to cook them, and they would still be quite firm, and I could not stand them. I thought they were awful, and this went on for years. And I would always get a few on the plate, and I'd have a go and be like, no, I just cannot. They are vile.
Well,
But then
actually,
a number of years later, I had them cooked very soft, cooked to bits, so they were soft, and actually they're all right, and I can eat them like that now.
Oh, okay.
I think
strange.
they're fantastic.
I always hated sprouts until when I first moved out of my parents' house into my own house, and I was living by myself for a year. I spent the whole year just living off of microwave meals, and every Sunday I'd have a microwaved roast dinner, and it had little Brussels sprouts in it, and I used to love those little guys. And
No.
I started, and now I really like sprouts,
So
but only if they're sort of
Before-
steamed or lightly boiled.
Yeah, it's a difference.
yeah. So before I get back onto the sprouts, a quick question for you all. How do you feel about raw cabbage?
Cabbage, wait, what's that?
Mm.
The words.
Yeah.
Cabbage.
Well, it's all right.
no,
It's all right in coleslaw.
Cabbage
Because-
all like cooked.
Ah,
I haven't really had cabbage in years.
No.
It's not. They don't really get it here.
Because the only reason I ask is whenever you buy street food here, it typically comes with a bag of raw leaves, half of which is cabbage. And I
Yeah.
have been eating raw cabbage up the wazoo, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's delicious, it's crisp, it's crunchy, and I really do enjoy it. But to go back to the Brussels sprouts thing, a couple years back, I learned a recipe for Christmas, which is a case of parboiling the Brussels sprouts and then cutting them into 4, and then sauteing with onions, bacon cubes, and onions. It's a side dish for Christmas. It's fantastic. It
Mm.
Oh
really
my
is.
god, that sounds gorgeous.
Yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
good.
You've made me hungry now.
Yeah.
My old man used to put bacon in while they was boiling them. And when you used to just dish them out, you have bacon bits with your Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Although at the moment, because you spoke about raw cabbage, I'm just now thinking about pickled red cabbage. I really want a jar of pickled red cabbage right now.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Now, here's something I miss about the UK. Do you guys in the UK ever indulge in a pickled onion? Sorry,
I don't.
sorry, no, a pickled egg.
Oh,
Oh, pickled egg. Oh, yeah.
Pickled egg.
I think I've only ever had it once. It sounds like
Ah.
something I would like. I like pickled things
What?
and I like eggs. So
Yeah.
You've not had pickled eggs, monkey?
I think I've had maybe one in my life,
Yeah.
but it's just not something I tend to come across. I mean, apart from the big jar that you get in a fish and chip shop, I don't really, I don't know where you would get them.
No.
Supermarket.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
a tree. Given that you were in the US and I was once there, I remember Walmart's offering pickled eggs, but those were purple in color.
Huh. The only thing that I resembles that I remember was in Hellboy when they fed Abe Sapien and that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now I don't know if the American pickled egg is done with red wine vinegar that gives it the color, but I remember in the UK, it was always quite common in pubs and bars to see a jar of pickled eggs behind the bar.
Yeah.
And I think they had these like small sort of cardboard cartons that if you were to buy one, they would spoon it out, put it in this little cardboard tray and give it to you. And I'm quite sure. I
quite
Go
like
ahead.
the big pickled onions, but I've never had a pickled egg.
Yeah.
The regular thing I used to get when I was going to the pub with my old man back when I was a kid, we used to go in, he used to get me a bag of salt and vinegar crisps and a pickled egg. And I used to open the salt and vinegar crisps, the egg used to go into the bag. I'll tell you something. I still
Oh,
do
yeah.
that every now and
Yeah. I mean, there's something to be said for the acidity of the vinegar. It just works with the egg.
Huh.
That's just how it goes, I'm afraid. I love it.
It works
So
very
anyway,
well with sort of thing this as well at the same time.
yeah.
Mm.
So I think we have concluded the food review for this show. I will try to catch up with the chat. I think I'm way behind. I will do my best to get back to where I was. There is a timestamp, so we are now at 11:26.
Okay.
So if I go back to 11, if I missed you, I do apologize. I am running other screens, so I can't see everything. It's a crime how small Quality Street has become, yes. And Tom, trust me on this. I am probably, 30, at least 30 years older than you, and I have seen it even worse. It's quite ridiculous. Reading movies, I remember Coffee Chocolate was always left behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Des, Quality Street was more toffee, whereas Roses were more chocolate. Yep, that's very true.
Mm.
Damien says, Roses caramel keg. Yep, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Oztrack says, my mum always asked for Quality Street. The nut one was the best. Do you remember Club Bar? I remember Club Biscuits, but not
Yeah,
necessarily bars.
Yeah.
Tom says, the only Roses I ever liked was the coffee one, and I don't even drink
Ah.
it. Yeah. Reading movies is like Toffee Penny, but other relatives would avoid it as it was false teeth filling remover. Yeah, absolutely. Bearded Geek Toy Reviews. I remember one set of grandparents always had Quality Street, and the other set had Roses. Yeah, it was a very divisive thing, wasn't it?
Mm.
Des T says exactly what Mrs. T just said. Dean Hershey's was very soapy. Yeah, very soapy. Tea and Toys.
Heresy.
Hershey. Okay. Oh, Heresy, yes. Macintosh Roundtree, yeah. Macintosh. I did like the Macintosh caramel eggs at Easter time. Those were fantastic. Tea and Toys. Hershey Toffee Penny Bashing. Heresy. What we now call Nestle's who bought them, they were made in Norwich and New York.
Yep, that's true.
Okay. Fun fact, Yorkies were named after the city of York, but most were made in the Norwich factory. Tease Toy says, Yorkies is not advertised anymore. Yeah, I'm not surprised. And it's still not for girls. Yeah. My nan introduced my brother and I to Advoca with a drink called a snowball. Yes, that's what
there you go.
That's what I believed. Ryan had been working and listening, really getting into the spirit of Christmas. Oh, excellent, Ryan. Also, congratulations to Ryan for winning the Vader figure. Well done. Hi to Ryan. The snowball cocktail was made with Advoca. There we go. I definitely had some Advoca or snowball as a kid. Yeah, I think we all did. We always had a glacé cherry with ours. Yep, that's true. Cheese and fruit goes well, grape or pineapple. Yes, it does. Cheese and grapes or apple. Yeah, actually, cheese and apple is good also. That's a good point. I had cheese and grapes before once at a family gathering, and being about 6 at the time, being horrified by the idea. Yeah, okay, Tom, try it again next week. I think you might like it. Rich is here. Good morning. Well, anyway, here anyways. Yes, good morning, Rich. Des says, I love Brussels sprouts. Yeah, me too. What's the difference between Brussels sprouts and bogies? Kids will eat bogies. Yeah, for some reason, kids hate Brussels sprouts. I don't know why. And Ben says hi to Rich. And Brussels sprouts are the devil's work. Yuck. No, they're delicious. I adore raw cabbage. Yeah, me too. And Ben says sprouts boiled then fried with bacon pieces. There we go. Right. So next up, we shall look at, instead of boring you all with the whole listings on one channel for Christmas Day, I've compiled each movie shown on BBC One and ITV for Christmas Day. The first half is coming up in this slide. And next week we'll do the other half of the 80s, and then we'll make this big so I can read it. Oops, I've just lost everything. Cancel. There we go. I will make this big like this. So in 1980, the BBC showed The Wonderful World of the Brothers Grimm. Then they showed 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And then finally they had Airport from Airport 75. I guess it was made in 74. In 81, they showed Tom Thumb from 58. Then they had In Search of the Castaways, and finally Loophole. Now, aside from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and Airport, I have not heard of any of these movies. Anyone else?
I'm not impressed so far.
No. 82, BBC gave us Mr. Quilp. Then
Nope.
International Velvet.
Nope.
Death on the Nile, I remember because one of our teachers when I was in primary 6 showed us that on VHS, and I suspect he taped it on this day. Next up, they had in 83, they had Glitter Ball, which I do remember. Treasure Island, I also remember, and then Better Late Than Never, which, if it was made in 83, was probably a made-for-TV movie. And I will need to remove Ben's chat there. I do apologize, so I can read the last slide. Very unprofessional of me, but I will now enlarge again. In 84, they had Blue Murder at St. Trinian's, followed by Mary Poppins and Some Like It Hot. Now, already
all the
we
modern day movies there in 84, wasn't it?
Yeah. We can probably agree that BBC did not get the rights to the best movies.
No. That entire list, apart from Mary Poppins, that entire list was dog shit.
Absolute shit. Now,
and you can put that on a DVD cover.
Yeah. Now, Tree, for a bit of context, up until 82, we only had, I believe, 3 TV channels, BBC One, BBC Two, and ITV. And basically, BBC One and ITV were the big two. And what you've seen so far would suggest BBC did not get great movies. So let's see what ITV had. So in 1980, they had Digby, the biggest dog in the world, followed by George and Mildred. Then this is where ITV came into their own. They got the good movies in the evening. They had Bond, The Man with the Golden Gun.
Crazy.
And then at 10:40, they had A Touch of Class. Now in 81, they had The 3 Lives of Thomasina, Dr. No, which was the Bond movie. Then they had The Muppet Movie. And finally, they gave us Harry and Walter Go to New York. I've never heard of that, but
yeah.
82. They had Enid Blyton's Island of Adventure, which was made in that year, so probably made for television. They had The Parent Trap, and then they had The Black Hole from 1979. So already we can see the delays in broadcast TV getting the movie. So that was like a 3-year delay. In 1983, they had The Capture of Grizzly Adams, and I do remember watching that. Then at 3:15, they had Superman, which is the one and only time I've seen that movie. 83 again at 9:10 p.m. they had A Revenge of the Pink Panther. Now, for me, that was a huge letdown because I thought it was going to be the Pink Panther cartoon.
Correct. Yeah, so did I.
Right. And finally, on this segment, in 84, they gave us Bug Bunny's Looney movie. Then another James Bond film, The Man with the Golden Gun, which was a repeat from 1980, believe it or not. And finally, the Christmas night thriller was Home for the Holidays. So clearly, ITV had access or had the finances to get much better movies than the BBC.
Yeah.
Now, again, Tree, I apologize because you were not there at the time. So if you can have any interesting comments on these movies, I welcome you to say so. But for the people in England, and also Seth, I do apologize that you were not in the UK for this. But do we agree that somehow ITV really did kick the ass of BBC when it came to the movies?
I wouldn't say
Yeah,
it was a comprehensive beating. I mean, those films on ITV weren't the best, but you've got a few standout ones. Obviously,
Yeah.
Superman
Mhm.
being the main one, and the Bond
Yeah.
ones. I mean, it wasn't a great early half of the 80s for movies, but it was certainly
No.
better than BBC, which was just
Yeah.
stuffy as all hell.
You know, guys, a question about the BBC. I vaguely remember that sometimes I saw movies on television on the BBC also. We could receive it here. But they did they made cuts of the movies where they made them a bit shorter to fit on television, or
Yes.
explicit violence or
Mhm.
censorship or whatever.
Yes.
Was that a general thing of the BBC, like recutting movies for?
Oh, yeah, very much.
Yeah.
And did the other broadcasting channel we were just looking at the list, did they do that also?
Yes.
did.
They all done it.
Well, yeah.
apparently.
But also,
did-
what they would do is quite often you would get a movie start and then stop for the news
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
restart again.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I've seen that kind of.
Yeah.
Or they'd take an Arnold Schwarzenegger film or Die Hard or something like that, and then show it before 9 o'clock and dub out all the swear
Mm.
words.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
cut the violent
Beverly,
bits out
Beverly
and they
Hills
dub
Cop
out-
was the
So
funniest.
sorry.
Beverly Hills Cop was the funniest for that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, because of the amount of F words in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get fluff you mother flicker.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I mean, actually, I have now. Next segment is Christmas memories, but I'm going to jump to that right now because it is based on a movie. There was one year in the 80s, it must have been late 80s, and it was Christmas Eve. And for whatever reason, I didn't accompany my mum and dad to the candlelit service on Christmas Eve at the church. So I was at home with grandma, and she had television on, and there was a sex scene on the television, and I had to pretend I didn't know what I was looking at, and she had to pretend that she didn't see that I didn't know what I was looking at. It was very awkward. Yeah. All I can say is, just real quick, sorry. All I can say is, the lady was on top, but that's it.
Oh, okay. No, I did. That does remind me of where my grandparents used to watch a lot of thrillers and murder mysteries and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember in the early 90s, I think it was a Christmas or a birthday party, my grandmother saying how she just watched Basic Instinct, which was a great topic of discussion at a family party.
I have a question for Tree. Now, I have done a segment in the past on this channel comparing American Christmas television to British television, and it seemed to me that in America, especially in the 80s, they only had new programming from 7 p.m. onward.
Yeah, thereabouts. Yeah.
But for the most part, there was nothing particularly Christmas about those shows on Christmas Day.
No, we had to rely on VCR tapes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It just seemed that America did not really embrace Christmas Day as a special day for television, whereas in the UK, that was a really big day for television. And a lot of shows would have their sort of prime episode air on Christmas Day. Things like Only Fools and Horses, Two Ronnies, etc., were aimed to be broadcast on Christmas Day, but America didn't quite go down that same route for some reason.
Would that be because in America you're actually having family time? instead of sitting in front of the TV.
That's good.
And what about Thanksgiving? Was it different for Thanksgiving? Did you have it more on TV, or was it just you didn't have it?
Well, in our family, Thanksgiving revolved around watching football.
Right,
So,
yeah.
Okay.
Ah. Is there
Yeah.
so
When
is
you
there
have the
is there
Super Bowl?
a big football game on at
Yeah.
Thanksgiving every year?
oh yeah, that's
Uh-huh.
you hardly ever see any cars on the street, and kids are usually playing football out in their front yards while the adults are watching it on TV. So
Ah, okay.
Is that when they have the Super Bowl, or is that another time?
that too. Yeah, you're right.
The Super Bowl. Yeah.
Mhm.
I heard about that.
But you know, it was more fun to go out and play and experience adventure than get hooked to the TV. I would say in the 80s.
Yeah.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
of course, in America, you have Thanksgiving. It's not really that long before Christmas, is it? So
No.
I wonder if the two compete, maybe, or
No, not so much. It's like turning a chapter. You know, you bring out the lights after Thanksgiving, and of course
Okay.
now we have Black Friday, so everybody goes shopping and tries to get their best deals. So
ah,
yeah, there's a big
Amazing.
border between the two holidays. I think.
Is Black Friday related to Thanksgiving? A stupid question, maybe, but I'm not so sure. Or is it just two separate events and nothing in common?
I believe they're related.
Uh-huh.
I suppose somebody might say that, but I
Because they're
suppose-
around the same time in the year, if I'm correct. I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I think it's more for merchandising
Yeah.
sales.
Yeah, yeah.
Get out and buy.
It's probably
Because in the
for-
UK we never had it, did we? But now we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and then it's not just Black Friday; it's Black Friday week. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
in a
Cyber
few
Monday.
years, it'll be Black Friday month.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
used to be Black Friday and Cyber Monday, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Sure.
Cyber Monday was just online deals, and now, yeah, obviously everything's just online.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I always knew about the Black Friday sales in America on watching TV because you didn't have none of that here. And it's like, oh, I wish, but now we have it here. And then I got to admit, I've been to Black Friday sales in America, and I didn't think I did get a couple of bargains, but not the sort of bargains that I've heard about.
Mm.
I always say that I make great savings every Black Friday by
Mhm.
not buying
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes. That's,
So
Good for
I
you.
apologize for my absence. I was just grabbing another can of Iron Brew. Now, for those of you in the UK, what is the cost of a can of pop this size these days?
Ooh, about 140,
Yeah, around.
120, 140.
Yeah,
So-
up to about £2.
I didn't get that.
Hang on. Wait. £2 for this.
Maybe in London. Around
Yeah.
here, I would say that'd be about 130, something like that.
So
Is it a beer or a
no, it's a soft. It's a soda pop.
Ah,
Mhm.
It's Scottish. It's Scotland's #1 drink.
ah.
Now,
Yeah.
okay, I got these in Thailand, imported from Scotland, for the price of about $1, which is probably 85p.
Oh,
That's
How
good.
is that
So
possible?
it's cheaper to have it imported into Thailand than
Yeah.
it is
I
to
was just
buy
about
it in
to mention,
Sainsbury's.
around here it's 135, something like that, or 140, 150. It's
That makes
ridiculous.
no sense.
Mhm.
But quick fact for you all now, this is all information based on a few years back, but I'm informed there are only 2 countries in the world where the national soda outsells Coca-Cola in that
Mhm.
particular country. One is, I believe, Peru.
Mm.
The other is Scotland. So
Mm.
Scotland sells more Iron Brew than Coca-Cola.
and what
Is
does
it-
Peru sell?
their own whatever it
Guinea pig.
is they
Guinea
have.
pig juice.
Yeah.
Boiled guinea pig.
But okay, before we move on, I will catch up. We have some very generous super chats. And Tree Theodore, who is right here on screen, thank you, sir, asks for number 3. So ask and ye shall receive. So number 3 is, let me see, 1, 2, 3, too poor. Too poor for Star Wars, is this correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Here we
If
go.
you can't afford a real one, then maybe collecting Star Wars isn't for you.
Now, okay, aside from the stupidness of that video, that is an actual comment that I once received because I said I like Stan Solo Creations reproductions. How can anyone genuinely have those feelings? It's a toy.
I mean, Stan Solo isn't cheap anyway.
No, it's not. Well, he's not cheap, but he's a hell of a lot cheaper than an original.
Sure.
Whatever he's replicating, but still very bizarre. And then
could there be a moment that you might perform one of these videos live? Like this
perhaps.
It would be nice.
But the problem is, no, but Seth, the problem is though, I just try to do a generic accent, but I sometimes slip between, I guess, Liverpudlian or Yorkshire or just generic English, and it doesn't. I can't stick to one accent, so I need to work on that first.
I think that the Scottish, speaking of accents, the Scottish accent is very tenacious. Like you can have somebody move from one country to another, and after a few years, they lose their national accent. But Scottish never lets go, does it?
People from Holland also have that, I think.
No, and actually, okay, so I did spend just over 20 years in America. And for most of that, I was dealing with Americans every single day. I'm trying my hardest to, whatever I picked up, I'm trying to go back to where I was. And when I write emails or messages, I try to do British spelling, but the goddamn keyboard keeps correcting me. So, for example, I often use the word favorite. And I'm trying to add a U in there, and autocorrect takes out that U every single time.
Like color in color, you can see.
But that came across because I believe it was in America when they started printing. You would print, and the cost of printing a newspaper or something was not cost by word, but cost by letter, because you had to have someone put all the letters in. So if you had unnecessary letters, just throw them out, and it would be cheaper.
And actually,
and to be fair,
it makes sense.
when you look at some English words, there are whole loads of letters that do not need to be in there.
Like diarrhea, that goes on for days in England, doesn't it? The word diarrhea.
Yes.
That is long.
So we have Ryan with a generous chat. He says, video 4, please. Thanks again for the Christmas streams. You really get me looking for. Well, thank you, Ryan. And you shall have number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go.
The thing about repro is that it takes everything you love about Star Wars and it uses it against you. It should be banned.
Now, just hitting those words is so absurd. But those are actual words that were used. Crazy. And then we have one more from Ben. The wonderful Ben says, oh, well, thank you, Ben. Repro has the power. So let's...
Oh, we've just done that one.
All right. Oh, sorry. What? I just spoke Thai. Good Lord. That's bizarre. So sorry, Monkey Boy.
You've just done the number
So
4.
hang on.
I'll just do it
Ryan,
anyway.
Yeah, do it again.
Pick another one, Ben.
number 4. Yeah, no, well, Ben, just comment. No super, please, but just comment what you need. What you need. Yeah. Good Lord, I'm getting confused here. So finally, let's have the one last segment here.
Okay.
And we will get this thing done. So the last segment, so we've done the pick one toy, we've done the food, we've done the films. So now we get just general memories. Right. So again, before we get to this memory whole thing, Ben, pick any number you like, but not number 4. So anyway, general memories of Christmas in the 80s. Tree, what is one memory that stands out for you?
One memory. Piling into the car and going to see lights on people's homes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some of the displays were out of this world. Like Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at that time in the 80s, to have snow where I lived at the time was kind of a rare thing. So we really look forward to, spending time with folks and my brother and going to see the lights.
Yeah. I always remember having a thrill because on a Friday, my grandma and granddad would come visit and my dad would drive them home. And being a Friday with no school the next day, I could stay up late and go in the car. And my dad would always take a detour to look at all the houses. And bearing in mind, in the UK, we did not do these crazy gardens with lights everywhere. It was more or less a case of see some trees in the window.
Oh.
And yeah, it was always a thrill, but also to the guys in the UK and maybe even Seth, did your hometowns have a sort of town display in the center of town?
Yes. Usually, where I lived, there was a local church, and they had a display with what's the word? With the house, the shed where Maria and
Nativity.
Yeah,
Nativity. Yeah.
Yes.
There was always that on one scale, and around that there was a little Christmas market where local people came together at some glühwein or some little thing to eat.
Yeah.
And you could see here and there in the porches of people having Christmas decorations and stuff. It was not so much, but it was there. You could really drive through the street and sense that it was Christmas. The traditional in the shopping street of the local area, there were also decorations being hung by the city, stuff like that. Yeah, it was present, absolutely. Yeah.
I feel I almost feel like in today's world, it's become a bit of a pissing contest to see who can do the most in their gardens.
Yeah,
it's a bit ridiculous now.
Seth, did you mention glühwein?
Yes, that's warm wine.
Yeah, did you make that or did you purchase that?
That's some people used to make that. There is a recipe to do it. I remember seeing family gatherings where there was self-made glühwein. I don't know the recipe. You could also buy that. I was never a big fan of glühwein, so I don't know much about the taste, but what I heard from glühwein is that if you bought it, it's really strong, and you have to find the right quality. If you make it yourself as an artisanal product, it's better. I heard. Yeah, we got that.
Okay. So Monkey Boy, I know you shared one last week. Do you have any more memories to share?
I always used to find Christmas Day itself quite frustrating because in my family the tradition was I could open anything that was in my Christmas stocking that Santa had left, I could open those things in the morning.
Yeah.
But all the things under the tree, they were only opened after Christmas dinner and after the Queen's speech. And to make it worse, I don't think every year, but I think most years, my dad would ask us all to stand up when the national anthem was played.
Okay.
Right.
I couldn't bear it, and so yeah, I mean maybe that's why I'm such an anti royalist now. I don't know, but it was. I always thought, oh, come on, Queen, get on with it. I want to open my presents, and she would go on and on and on. Bloody Queen.
Now, did I imagine this, or was there one year? It may have been the 90s where she had an anus horribilis. Is this
That
true?
was the year the Westminster
the
burned down,
Anus
wasn't it?
Horribilis.
Or was it Westminster?
Anus horribilis.
Windsor.
Latin for bad year.
Yeah.
There
There was one year when Windsor Castle caught fire, and there was it when Diana and Charles got divorced? That it was the same year, or there was like
something like
that whole thing was going on. Yeah, and it was a horrible year.
Yeah.
It was an it was a terrible anus.
Jason, any good memories for you?
Yeah, I do. I think the one I think about a lot is back in the day, because we had still not a big family, but we used to, a lot of us used to go to our nans, and basically me, my mum, and a couple of others, we stay at nans. Well, we actually lived there for a while. And then all the rest of my aunts and uncles would come over on Christmas Day. So literally, there wasn't a lot of cousins then. So there'd be 5 of us cousins, and the rest would be aunt and uncles. I mean, there used to be probably about 20 of us around my nan's. And if I could go back to the days of trying my nan's food, it's good. I mean, but the thing about prezzies, I actually do remember sometimes we wasn't allowed to open our prezzies underneath the tree till after Christmas dinner, but not always. Depends what they felt like, really. But yeah, it was mainly the big family gathering, eating. Because obviously, I went out to drink. I drink, but I wasn't interested. I mean, I was happy with what I still have these days.
Yeah.
But and yeah.
So Seth, any other memories you want to share about Christmas back in the day?
Well, I remember one year, I think I was the beginning of my 20s. I was like still studying, living at home. And as many students in the beginning of their 20s, they're a bit more idealistic towards the world. And I was like, yeah, this Christmas with all these presents and all this too much consumerism, I will do something else this year. And I volunteered for a volunteer job that evening on that day on Christmas. And I remember going there, like it was helping homeless people, feeding and stuff like that. And I remember I had such a ball that day. I was going there with no expectations. I don't know. And I was there, like handing out the meals and stuff like that. It was fun, a great time. And all of a sudden, I also said before that I don't want to be. I didn't tell my friends. I wanted to do it for myself. So I didn't want to spend too much attention on that evening what I was about to do. And the king and the queen, they came to visit us while we were hanging out. So I remember the camera. All of a sudden, there was a television cameras. The king was there. The queen was there, just meeting the nice people who were handing out the meals. And I was like, "Fuck! I don't want any attention." So in the church where we were, I just slipped around the corner to have the whole gate of royalists walking by, and they turned around the corner and they. All of a sudden, I was faced with all the cameras. They had to greet the queen from help the queen. Well, I wanted to be anonymous there, so But we had a real great time that evening.
Oh,
memory of
excellent. Nice.
Wow, it sounds like you were in your own Christmas movie. That's really cool.
Yeah, unintendedly, I was the actor of my own.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
You could write it down, make it a script.
If I
Get it
write a
made.
memory about my life, it will definitely be there.
So, Sai, any other memories apart from the one you shared last week?
Well, I do have some memories still from when I was a kid, but the one I want to share this week is actually from the time I had my first Christmas here in the Netherlands. So it was probably about 21 years ago, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I came over with my wife. She was my girlfriend at that time. And we had a big Christmas dinner at her uncle's house. So all her nephews were there also. And it's the first time I was meeting them. And I brought over with me a big pack of Christmas crackers because you don't have Christmas crackers here.
Right.
So everyone was like, oh, what the hell are these things? So it was this really cool experience of seeing people experience Christmas crackers for the first time. And everyone then wearing the crappy little hats and the terrible English jokes and them trying to translate the terrible English jokes into Dutch for the kids. It was quite an experience. And what was great about it was the years later, we were at another party, and one of her nephews, who was her youngest nephew, he's now about 30 something, and he was saying, "Yeah, I still remember that Christmas. That was the best Christmas I ever had."
Oh, wow.
And that to me that was a really touching moment. That for me it was quite fun. Everyone just seeing something, but that's actually made someone's best ever Christmas. Yeah.
So Tree, I'm assuming you've never pulled a Christmas cracker before.
No, and the hats are new to me, and I'm learning.
Wow. Yeah, well, I mean, luckily, again, I do love the fact that in Thailand there are way more British things available than there are American things. So I have secured some Christmas crackers for next week. Or
careful, you know what they're like with explosions out there.
Oh yeah,
Firecrackers.
Blow your hand off.
But
yeah, make sure you got your finger in your ear.
My only concern is this: I always remember putting on the hat in Scotland, which was like circa freezing temperatures, and just the grease from your forehead would start showing through the paper hat.
Yeah.
Imagine it here. It's going to be a whole wet mess. But a quick memory for you all. I'm going back to the primary school Christmas parties where they would give you a note to go home with you to say, "We're having the party. Please make either sandwiches or little cakes."
Mm.
And the cakes were typically, I think there were three things families made. One was very simple. It was to take a marshmallow, dip it in melted chocolate, and stick a Smartie on the top and put it in a sort of plastic, put it in like a paper holder cup thing. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
The other one was to melt chocolate, stir in some cornflakes, let it set, and put that in the same paper cup. And the third and the best option was to melt a Mars bar, throw in some Rice Krispies and a few raisins, stir that up, and put that into a cup. So therefore, for the Christmas party, you would get a plate with 2 triangular sandwiches, a marshmallow with a Smartie on top, cornflakes dipped in chocolate, and this other sort of Rice Krispie treat. And best of all, the only time they ever served cola in school. Or was that just my primary school? I don't know.
I don't remember cola. I remember lemonade, and I don't remember the Mars bar Rice Krispie ones.
Really?
They were just the same as the cornflake ones, just mixed in. But no, they're good.
Yeah, I think I said this many years ago. the cornflake one, especially if it was in a cold country, was hell for the upper mouth because sharp cornflakes in solid chocolate, and you bite into that thing, that is going through the roof of your mouth. Yeah. But
some of them.
yeah, it was wonderful time. Now I did see that Ben actually chose something after all.
Yeah, Ben's pick number 1, I think.
I did see it. Let me see. Where's Ben? Aye.
About
lost-
some comments up from the bottom.
Yeah, did Ben put? Hang on. This is so unprofessional.
He's picked number 1, Dean.
I know, but I just wish I could see it. Anyway, I will give Ben number 1 as he has chosen, but I just wished I could have seen it. So Hasbro for the
I'm
win.
telling you, vintage toys suck. Hasbro for the win.
Good Lord. Anyway, hang on, right here. Thank you, Ben. Very kind of you. I will try to catch up with as much chat as possible. Here we go. Ghostbusters TV premiere on Boxing Day, ITV 87, was full of alternative takes and scenes. Instead of dubbing over swearing, it was like watching a different film. Ben says, cool info, I'll have to search for those. I think it was released on the collection box sets as an extra. Black Friday happens so often now, it's lost all meaning, happens every few weeks. Yeah. Every day is a sale. It's called Black Friday for businesses to get earnings back in the black and out of the red. That sounds like bullseye to me. Black Friday is a joke in Canada. 50% off items marked up 30%. Yeah. That's the one thing that gets me. Shop window. Everything 50% off. Excellent. Walk in. Everything's marked up. So you're still paying the regular price. Tom says, if you look in the right places, a can cost anywhere from 75p to £1.20. Good Lord. Now, here's the thing. Now, from the UK-based people, I am the oldest. But I do remember being able to buy certain bags of crisps for 5p and the rest for 7p.
Yeah.
For example, what they called funnies were like Space Raiders or the roast beef footballs. Those were 5p, and Golden Wonder and Smiths were 7p. So, and I do remember buying in fact, as recently as the early 90s, I think a can of Coke was like 25 or 30p. Anyway.
Bit more, I think.
Yeah. I was tracking. I remember. Go ahead, Jason.
I think if we got, I used to go, obviously we all went to school, but I used to go out at lunchtime. I used to go with a friend up to Park Woods from Senator. Funny thing, my friend used to pay for, because I was one of the kids that had dinner at school. With a basically, if you were a poor family, you was given like lunch vouchers and you had dinner there. So last time it was like so I was going with my mate Terry up to the Chippy, and he used to be one of these chaps like, oh, help yourself to a couple of chips. But then obviously like blimey, I said help yourself, I didn't mean that many. But anyway, I'm talking a lot now. So he used to sometimes get a 50p himself. So that's for your dinner. And I used to remember he used to get a portion of chips with that and a can of Coke. And I think that may be it. And that was the whole 50p.
Yeah.
And that was obviously in the 80s. And I think the can of Coke, the portion of chips was about 20p, if I remember rightly. And the can of Coke, I think, was around about 10 to 15.
Right. So Oztrack has said, I remember we'd sit as a family and listen to Billy Connolly records. Did not get it as a kid, but I do now. The Big Yin, yes. Tree, I'm assuming you've never heard of Billy Connolly? A Scottish comedian, very, very funny guy. Ryan, go ahead. Okay. Ryan says, in my town, the downtown was always lit up and decorated. Nowadays, downtown has very little decoration there. I remember actually witnessing firsthand the sort of decline of the decoration in the town in Scotland.
Dean, a question. Recently, in the movie on your second channel, in a video on your second channel, we have seen a little Christmas market there.
Yes. Yeah.
Was it like a public thing or was it a private?
No, it was just in front of a supermarket, sort of mall type place.
Okay.
Free of charge to go in. It was beautiful, although it was bizarre. Sitting there wearing shorts, Christmas trees. It didn't make sense to me. Des says, a bit cheesy, but watching Top of the Pops Christmas special was a good time. Absolutely it was. Also as well, that was right before the Queen's speech. So I would have the high of watching, Duran Duran and I guess Wham! Culture Club perform, and then suddenly the boring Queen's speech. Not great. K-Dog says, hey, Dean and peeps, at least I made it for a minute. Didn't see this was going on. Happy holidays. Well, thank you. You know what? I don't see anything that goes on. I am subscribed to a bunch of channels, and I now have to search to see the videos. Monkey Boy, Sai, Jason. I don't get notifications anymore. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's the same for me. I don't know what the algorithm's doing, but I just get a whole load of rubbish now, and then every now and then maybe one of you guys your videos pop up, but otherwise I know Monkey Boy releases his videos on a Sunday, so I don't know.
Yeah.
And are we talking about the feed in YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I release a video every 2 days now, so at least there'll be something. I mean, I do have to search for it even for Monkey Pies. I got to admit, sorry, your video does come up on my channel half time, so you does come through. But I think sometimes, now I've got about 190 people I try to watch, so I think a lot of things get lost. And the thing is, I don't know about any of you lot, but it's some of them channels I haven't watched for years, but for some reason I don't want to unsubscribe. And sometimes you go through them, but you try to find something to watch. So there'd be certain lists you always watch. It'd be like Dean pops one out. It'd be like, oh, I want to watch that. Monkey Boy. Well, so you have a list of people you want to watch first, then you got the through, and you're like, I'm bored now. What can I? So you go through your list, and you're like, yeah, it was all right, but I don't feel like watching it.
But to me, it's just odd that I'm subscribed. I have the bell clicked. I never get a notification.
Really weird.
Bizarre.
It might be because now you're in Thailand, your IP address will be different. So perhaps the algorithm needs to relearn your habits. Maybe. I don't know.
Probably.
Well, here's the funny thing. A few weeks ago, something popped up, and it was the former singer of E17, the sort of small elf-looking guy, doing some sort of unhinged rant. And I watched it because I was curious. After that one watch, my whole feed is full of his videos now.
I recently did my Britain's video came out this week, but if you've seen it, you'll notice that I put little bits of the Second World War footage in there, and the shooting of the guns and things, so that it would sort of show for real what things were like. Well, I got all those clips off of YouTube, and that has screwed my feed up completely. All I have now is like, testing of this gun and testing of that gun.
Interesting point here, Seth. So when I sat at that winter market last week, they were playing Christmas songs through the speakers. So I just filmed a short, and it happened to be Wham's Last Christmas playing. So I made the short, uploaded it, and immediately it said it was blocked due to copyright. Okay. So I came home, put it onto my computer, and then put it back onto my phone to do a short. And what was available under YouTube Shorts? Wham's Last Christmas.
They blocked. They didn't allow you to use it, but they were still pushing it.
Yeah. So I just said that. Yeah.
Weird.
Was it longer than a minute, Dean?
Sorry?
Was it longer than a minute you done on that shot? I know they now
Under a
down it
minute.
down to 3 minutes.
Under a minute.
That's strange.
But
It
because it was just coming through the speakers where I was sitting. Yeah.
But then it's a lot of fish. You can literally, sometimes it's literally just 1 or 2 words. If you can actually miss them out, you know what words they pick out.
Yeah.
Because obviously I do a lot of outside filming, don't I? And sometimes I worry about that myself. And then sometimes I think, yeah, I'm bound to get one of these copyrights and tell me that I've got to go in and then I'll be like, oh, I haven't. And you normally it's be a word or 2 that it picks up, and what is sometimes a pain.
Right.
But yeah, it is. It's just strange, that one is.
Tom says, for me, the marshmallow was dipped in chocolate with sprinkles as opposed to a Smartie. Yeah, very same idea. Ray says, that was a scary one, Dean. Well done. Thank you. Soda Cauldron says, best Xmas memory was getting my BMX and doing some sweet bunny hops and jumps. Yeah, I bet it was. Ben says, hi to Soda. K-Dog says, Billy Connolly was brilliant. Also great in Boondock Saints. Tom, speaking of videos, I released my first YouTube video a few days ago, which is a collecting documentary I made for my college course. We will all check that out in due course.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll go and have a look at that, Tom.
Ben, cool. I'll check it out.
Share the link.
Yeah. Same channel, I presume. Yeah. Yes, same channel.
Yes.
And Ray says, my first intro to Billy Connolly here in the States was when I took my niece to watch Muppet Treasure Island. Been a fan ever since. He and Sean Connery would have great banters back and forth. Absolutely. So there we are. So thank you all for coming on and joining me for this Christmas party. It's been
Thanks for having us, Dean. Thank you very much.
Been good.
I really enjoyed the chat, and we have one more to go before Christmas. Now, that in itself is quite frightening because I have not really had a chance to sit back and appreciate the fact that we are in the Christmas period. It's just happened so fast. It always does, and it's quite sad, really. Because I'm sure we all remember as children, it used to drag on forever.
Yeah. You'd be at school wishing for that last day of school.
Yeah.
And then you'd be then you'd have the school holiday, and it would still take 4 months to get to Christmas Day. It was, yeah.
And now it's just happening so fast.
Next thing we know, we'll be like, hang on.
Thank you, Tree. And so does hi to Ben. So, as I said, we have one more to go before Christmas. But in the meantime, I want to thank all these very special guests. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you to the super chatters. Very generous of you. And I hope you enjoyed those funny little videos. A couple of chats to get to before we close things off. Ben says, great stream to everyone here. Well, thank you, Ben. And Des T, great stream. Well, thank you, Des. And indeed, happy Christmas. So that's it for this week. And
it's great to see Tree as well. Because obviously I've had messages of Tree for the last probably couple of years. And it's nice to actually meet the person from the messages. And messages.
Yes, absolutely. Well said, Jason. And I think Ben has said it here. Thanks all in the chat. Hopefully see you next. Yes, hopefully see you all next week. But in the meantime, it's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from all of them, I hope.
Indeed.
Goodbye.
Cheerio. Nice to see you all again.
We will see you all next week. So I will end this now, but we will see you all, and we'll do it all again next week. Well, thank you for tuning in. And as I said, we'll see you next week. Bye.
See you this week. Bye.
Bye.